Hi, Stampin' Buddies. This is Late Night Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. I am coming to you on Friday, October 17th, and it is 11:56 p.m. here in Wisconsin. Time kind of got away from me. I was putzing around, getting some of my things together, and lost track of time. So let me just see if I can get my devices set up here. Kind of lost my train of thought there too for a second. And that way I can see if anybody joins me live. And I will try to keep up with any comments that come in. So thanks for joining me. Let me know where you're joining from. I love seeing where everybody is watching from. We get them from all over the place. And if you like my video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. It helps me share what I love doing with even more people. And we are going to get to just a couple of announcements quick. So, hello, Donna. It's been a little bit since you've been here, a few days. Welcome. So we have new products that became available in October, and there's more products coming November with our online exclusives. So watch for those. There's also some new packaging that's going to start getting released with November. Those online exclusives. After that, there will be no more new red rubber stamps, and the markers are going away as well. So we're getting new packaging. The dies will actually have artwork. The dies and the stamps are going to have the same size packaging. So I'm actually really looking forward to it because they're more of a slimline design. So it's going to take a lot less space in my crafting area. Hello, Susan. Well, the Australian contingent has arrived. Thank you both for popping in. So, new products coming up. There's some last chance products that are available. If you see something you like, get it now because once it's gone, it's retired. Paper Pumpkin, sorry you gals in Australia don't have this yet. Stampin' Up! Is working on Paper Pumpkin though. These are great kits, they're kind of a surprise. What's the name of these embellishments? These are coming out in November. These are the frosted iridescent dots that are part of the Lights of Aurora Sweet Collection. We're going to be playing with those, I think, a little bit tonight. We'll see how far I get. I'm just breaking out these products for the first time because I just received my brown box the other day. So with this Paper Pumpkin, if you are a subscriber, North American people, there's also add-on dies you can get. They are really pretty. Very pretty. These are actually ones that I almost wish they would have made without adhesive. You know, or maybe if they would think about offering them both ways, some with adhesive and some without, so we could use them for shaker elements without having to peel off the backing or unstickify the backs. But anyway, we have a really good join deal. Now, I don't remember, I know, Susan, they're working on it. They are working on getting Paper Pumpkin kits to other markets than just North America. They're making progress, is what I'm told. So, and I don't remember, are either or both of you demonstrators already there in Australia? If you're not, your dollar amounts are going to be different, but if you're interested in joining, check with the demonstrator in your market. In North America, in United States, our offer right now is $125 worth of products that you get to pick, and it's only $35 plus your sales tax, of course. But there's no shipping. You get a free surprise past Paper Pumpkin kit. Hi, Juju, welcome. And you get some business supplies. There's also a higher tier. So if you want a larger ticket item like a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine that exceeds that $125 level, then you need to go to the next one if you want to get that as part of your starter kit. Either way, you get $90 worth of free product. So Susan, this is not new to you. Juju has heard me say this a lot of times. Donna, you probably heard me say it a few times as well. And then Stampin' Up! Is doing this new virtual craft class. So the first one is going to be October 23rd. It's 2 p.m. Mountain Time. I have already purchased the class. So the class is $30, and it will include basically what I'm told is going to be about a 2.5-hour online class led by the creative artists and the product designers that worked with this Traditions of Christmas suite. The designer series paper for this suite is not available. So all of the other items, last I checked, were available separately, as was the bundle and the dies. I don't know if I'm going to get mine before the 23rd, but I cannot host a watch party for this one for those in my area because I have a class that I already have scheduled with one of my team members on that day, and we're not going to change that. So there's already a supply list here. Once you get the class, you'll get an email with the Facebook link, and there's going to be layout, I think, instructions, cutting diagrams. They suggest, Stampin' Up! Has suggested that you get everything prepped ahead of time so that when you start the crafting, you can actually just craft along. There's going to be 4 projects, so 3 will be cards. 1 will be a home decor item, but that's all I know. I have not seen any of the projects we're working on. It's always a surprise. Hello, Apple Tart Baker. Welcome back. So we talked about putting dies on metallic or magnetic sheets. And these are the ones that I get from our local hardware store. We've got Menards here in Wisconsin. These are 8 by 15 inches. They are not adhesive, but they're big sheets just like this. They're really flexible, so they're very easy to cut. I can even put them through my trimmer, which I don't usually do because I don't want it to dull the blade, but I can also put it on my guillotine cutter, or I just cut them with scissors. And I use that then as backing for some of my stamp sets. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on one of these so that they're going to be a little easier for me to use frequently, because I think this set might be getting a little bit of use because it is gorgeous paper. And we're just going to kind of play around with it a little bit tonight and see what comes of it. All right, I suppose I could have just cut that piece straight across. All right, get that out of the way. So then what I'm going to do is, so that I don't forget how these all go on here, I'm just going to transfer these over one by one for right now. And then I will stick it on the tag board here. Now these I think are for water elements or horizon elements. This is for a tree line. We've got a couple of clouds here. Now I usually would prefer to use blending brushes and do ink blending to do clouds. Sometimes I think when we have die cut clouds like this, for me, depending on the papers that you use, it makes them just look a little too fake for me. So I like to do ink blending. We'll see what we do tonight. I don't know. I have one item kind of pre-cut because I wanted to experiment with this, and then I just had to finish up some things. This is another cloud. I'm just going to put that one up there so it's closer to those. And then this is more landscape horizontal pieces. And I may have to move some of these up a little bit, I guess, so it fits, because this is the magnet I did was the same size as that tag board, so we'll figure it out. I forgot what I was saying. But I was experimenting with the this die here just because I wanted to see how it worked. So now, because there's some adhesive on here, I'm just going to add a little bit more on the edges to keep that magnet sheet in place. And then I always try to remember to put how many dies there are on my sheets so that I can do a head count and know if I'm missing any. So I'm just going to do a little label. And that way when I'm working with it, do I make bead bracelets? I have made some bead bracelets with my daughter, or my granddaughter, not my daughter, my granddaughter. Why do you ask? Do you make them? All right, so this I'm just going to put up on here so that I can see, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That way I'm less likely to put a die set away before I have all of my pieces put back together. And that's kind of what I do with my stamps as well. So when I have a stamp set, before I put it away, I try, it doesn't always work, but I always try to put the sentiments or images back where they belong, okay? So with these, we've got some large scripted sentiments and then some smaller block ones. So here we've got, you are a, I don't know. We'll have to see. You are a wonder. Oh, that's kind of weird. Embrace the magic. Wishing you a year of wonder. There's a lot of different things where you can mix and match these. I'm just not seeing where this one, you are a, must be a wonder. You are a wonder. All right, so we'll play with this. We also have, with the designer series paper, this is the Lights of Aurora 6x6 paper. There's 48 sheets in here. And these were actually, I didn't make my little holder yet for these. I need to do that. I don't feel like I've been home lately very much. All right, so these were originally chalk designs. So the artists, the concept artists, will draw or paint, or here they use chalk. And then when they get the look that they want, then they convert it to a digital file, a lot of times by taking pictures, or they'll draw on the computer, and then they'll turn it into either the 12x12 or the 6x6 papers. So there's one design with kind of a celestial background. And like I said, these were all done with chalks. And then this is like a gorgeous grape. And that would be a shade, I think. No, that would be a tint. Tints are lighter, shades are darker than the true color. This one's pretty cool. That could almost be a tornado. And that's got Berry Burst. So we've got 6 different designs, two-sided, so that makes 12 different designs. Gorgeous grape. Aren't these pretty? And this is Azure Afternoon, actually. I think this one's my favorite. I don't know why. I like that. And then this is just very dark. So this must be black, actually. Oh, maybe it's a Blackberry Bliss. I bet it is. It looks super dark. It's almost a textured looking piece, but that's got to be Blackberry Bliss now that I see that here. But these are all of the colors that are in the paper. And the papers, for those of you who aren't familiar with them, when you get them, whether it's 6x6 or 12x12, all of the colors are listed here so that you know what cardstocks you need and what inks you might need to use to make coordinating projects and not have to guess about the colors you want to use. So just for fun, I brought out all my brushes for those colors, and we're just going to see what happens. Now, I did cut, I think I actually just grabbed a cut that I already had, a piece that I already had cut of black. And I ran it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And normally you think dies cut out a shape, right? Well, I didn't even look at this. There is no cutting edge on the bottom here. So it almost created like a pocket. So Juju, something like this would probably be good for your journaling things. If you wanted to make a pocket, you'd have to obviously put something, you know, kind of as a backing, but that might be kind of cool. I don't know. But you could put it anywhere on your paper, and I'll probably do another one just so we can kind of see how that looks. But like if we put some of this paper behind there, see how pretty that is? Or if we do a lighter color. Is she cutting out for anyone else? Like you want me to cut a piece and send you a piece? You're on my team, I would do that. So anyway, these are very pretty dies. I like it when we have kind of like foliage and trees and grass things. Those appeal to me. They don't to everybody, I know, but they do to me. And then this piece also does not have a cutting edge at the bottom, except this little piece here it does. So I need to kind of look at some of, there's a couple of, yes, randomly for you too. Well, Angry Bear, you're not on my team, so we'd have to work something out. You can send me a private message and we'll see what you need. I guess we'll just turn this all around. So I pulled out the Balmy Blue because I thought we could make this into like some sky. Check my mic. Do I not have sound? Because I thought... No, I don't have my wireless mic on today. So maybe it's just because I was talking away from my microphone. I'm just using the mic on my phone. My computer has sound, so I think there's two of you saying check the audio, huh? You like to lurk and buy kits. Well, I may actually design a kit for this one, so check back from time to time if I do like a card kit. I just haven't had time to create a bunch of those, so that might be something in the works. All right, and then there's this very pretty ribbon too. It's very sheer but very shimmery. We might use that. I don't know. So here, what I thought I would do is do, thank you, Susan. I'm going to do a little ink blending on here first. I'm going to cut another one of these a little bit higher on what will be a card base. So let me cut this 8.5 and this is 6. So I have to cut 1/2 inch off of here because I want to make a card base. Or do I? No, I don't really. I want to do the blue as the card base. I have to think through what I'm trying to do here. All right, Juju, we'll be here. All right. We'll figure this out. I want it to be about the same size as a card base. That's why I was going here. And we have to put this here. I'm going to put this higher up on the page. And I think we're going to do something like this. I could actually do this a layer size. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. See, this is what happens when I haven't really thought too far ahead what we're going to make, and we just kind of start making things. So let's get the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine up here. And we're going to cut this out because this is going to kind of be our focal point, and that's how we're going to design everything else, like the colors for the sky. So Donna, I think it's just me moving away from my microphone. I was kind of finding that when I used my wireless mic, that it almost seemed like that was causing my picture to get elongated. But then I didn't have my wireless mic on one night and it did it again, but I had my phone plugged in as well. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I think maybe it's just the electronic gremlins making things challenging for me. Welcome back. You didn't miss much. All right, so we're gonna cut this out. And I'm gonna get this out of the way. So we're gonna start with that. So this top part is going to break away, but the bottom part will not. And I'm bringing in my little brush. This is my die brush because some of these have really small pieces in there, and I want to try to pop them out in a contained area. All right, so you can see there's just a couple in here that I will need to get out of there to get clean cuts the next time I use this. Sometimes I just drop this really hard on my table and they come out. So it looks like I have them all out. All right, and then there's still quite a few here. Did this not cut all the way through? It didn't because my plate is warped. Let me see if I can line this back up and run it through a second time. We'll see. I probably should have run it through a second time. It's just because my plates, that bottom plate is warped. Because I try to run them through as many times as I can before I have to replace them. So you can see this is warped a little bit. So sometimes that means that you don't have good pressure on there to get a nice cut. So we'll just try this again. Usually running it through a second time works. Yeah, that worked that time. All right, so here we go. That's from there. Now, we could actually keep this if we were going to do another, let's say we were going to do on water. So let's say we wanted to make this a lake scene. We could take this piece and flip it. And in fact, maybe I'll get a scrap. Let's say we were going to go like this, and I wanted to turn this into a water. We could actually do some blending brushes on here. And let's do like Blackberry Bliss. And I'll see if I can make it look like what's in my head. Because then what it should do is give us the reflection, basically, or the appearance of a reflection. So this would be cut to be the same size as a card base, right? And then we're just adding some colors here. And let's do some darker blue. You would probably want to tape this down. And I'm just adding some blue in here to kind of change the color up a little bit. And it'll give like a reflective appearance. Hopefully you can kind of get the idea. So you would see, like, you could put some other like grassy pieces up here or something, and then this would be basically the reflection in water. It would probably work better with blues than the Blackberry Bliss, but you kind of get the idea, right? How you could make that work. I'll try one of those because I did see one of the artisan designers do one that used like sunset colors, and that was really quite pretty. All right, there's how I sometimes get all those little pieces out. They're all out. All right, let me rinse off my fingers. All right, so if we put this like here, and there are a few pieces here still that I need to punch out. They're just clinging. Sometimes with these very detailed dies, you get that where there's just some of the die cut areas that don't want to pop out on their own. Sometimes I can just flick it and they'll come out. Sometimes I just have to persuade them to come out. But we had Grassy Grove was another set like this that we had not too awful long ago. Hi, Tanya. And I really like that. That had a forest kind of scene and some deer in it. And it was basically like a treed archway where you were looking through a patch of trees. So I think I probably have my trees a little crooked, but they're on a hill, so they're going to be a little crooked. All right, so I'm going to add some more color onto the sky. And let's use some Lost Lagoon, I think. And I'm going to actually cut out a couple of the cloud pieces, and we'll see how it works with trying to do just some blended clouds instead of pop-up clouds. I'm going to cover this up for right now. Let me just cut these out of a couple of scraps. I'll be right back. I have my little machine set up kind of close. And we don't have to disrupt everything on the table constantly. All right, so what I usually do with my clouds, so to me it has just a little more natural of an effect, is I will use these images as masks. So I'm just going to use a little sticky note on here. And let's find Here's my Lost Lagoon. I want to make sure I had the right one. So I'm just going to lightly go around these trees, or the edges of the cloud, I mean. And I'm just going to shade in some clouds. And to me, that just looks a little more natural. And then as I move it around the paper, it gives just a puffy cloud look. See how easy that is? And if you wanted to put like a moon or something in here too, you would want to mask off the moon first on an appropriate colored cardstock, and then just do some blending magic. So let's use, I had another white piece. What did I do with that? Here it is. So we'll get some different shape clouds in here. And you can do this not just for clouds, but for so many shapes to give backdrops to your cards. All right, see how that works? And then when we put our trees back on here, we can kind of see those clouds off in the distance. Isn't that a cool effect? I think I'm going to go down a little bit further and just add some more ink on here, just to kind of take that stark color of the bright background and camouflage it. There. Isn't that pretty? I think it is. Yeah, that does look cool, doesn't it, Tanya? And you can use, like, if I was to do like a sunset, I would work first on like a basic white, and then I would add all my different colors, some pinks and some oranges and some yellows, to just do that ink blending to make it just look more like a sunset. Okay, so we would put this here, and then I haven't used any of the Lights of Aurora paper yet, so we're going to have to do another little piece here, I think. We can use this one and do that, and we'll just do two very different looking cards with these same tree elements. Okay, so there's that. I am going to put a sentiment on here, and I'm going to emboss it because it's black. So if we do white embossing, let's see. What do we want to say on here? Maybe just your strength inspires me. I could send that to somebody who's going through like a health crisis. Or may your day be filled with love, or may your day be filled with wonder. Wishing you a year of magic. What do you think we want to try? Any suggestions? Because I don't want to glue this down yet until we get the heat embossing on there. And I did finally find my heat embossing stuff. Last night Sala was here with me, and I couldn't find my heat embossing things. And I had my whole tray of things for a class that I had on Wednesday, and then I couldn't find it, and it was right on my table. It was just something had gotten placed over it. So let's do Embrace the Magic. We're just going to do Embrace the Magic. Now, I already put a little bit of Versamark on these to kind of prep them. Embrace the Magic. Here it is. And I love heat embossing. Not only the magic of melting all those plastic pieces, but just because it's got that nice shimmery design. So let's do Embrace the magic there. Or embrace the, and we'll just put magic here. All right, got all the things. And let's do the embossing buddy first, because this is just our like resin or chalk filled bag. And we'll get rid of any static, hopefully, to minimize getting powder where we don't want it to be. The embossing powder. Because the embossing powder is just micro pieces of plastic. All right. So we'll put more Versamark here. And I suppose I could try to zoom in a little bit, right? Does that help? So you can see a little bit better what I'm working on. And hopefully it'll be straight. Let's just see here. Hopefully that's straight enough. I think it should be. And then we're going to do magic. And because Versamark is dry or slow drying, hopefully we'll be good. Embrace the magic. And this little part of the tree, I think I might have to be real careful when I go to glue it on that I don't get it all mangled. All right, and I try not to dump my powder off right away. And then I let it kind of adhere a little bit. All right, so there's just a little bit here. There might have been a piece of lint on my stamp maybe. And there is a brush that comes with the toolkit for the embossing. It's the embossing toolkit. This is the brush that comes with it, but for me, I am so afraid that I'm going to lose control of those bristles. I use this very small art brush that's just got the angled tip because I feel, for me, it just gives me more control. I don't need any help having stray bristles ruin my project. I can do that well enough on my own. All right, I think we're almost to the point where I should leave well enough alone. All right, cover up the embossing powder, get these things out of the way, and we will get the tweezers. So these tweezers come with that kit as well, and they are reverse tweezers. So you squeeze to open instead of squeeze to close. And if you've crafted with me before, you know I like to heat from the back because that way I can see when it changes. And then I can move on. Hopefully you can see that getting shiny. And then I usually try to hold it at an angle so the heat keeps traveling up the paper and it kind of primes it for when I get the heat right over it. There we go. We had a little place there that wasn't set. And then if you can see if it's all shiny, then you know you're good. And once it's cooled, I'll usually just kind of touch a little bit And if I don't feel any powder, if it all feels smooth, then I know I'm good to go. So this is going to be a very simple card. We're going to put some of those embellishments on it. And I'm going to get my little pastry brush and we're going to put some glue on here because these are so delicate. I want to make sure I don't get too much glue all over everything. And when you're doing this too, you want to be careful that you don't use your or move your item too much around your silicone mat because then it's going to pick up glue that's gone in between where you've got paper and silicone mat. And you don't want to ruin your design. Should be good. And then I'm just going to put some glue along here too. Now for something like this especially, I will use liquid glue over tear and tape or stamp and seal or, you know, other more instant adhesives, because if my things are not in the right place, I want to be able to shift it a little bit. And I'm just going to put some dots here where these spaces are bigger, where I didn't dab glue on. And then this I will just let dry and then I will rub it off. Same thing with my little pastry brush here. This was the bristles were much longer on this when I got it, and I just cut them down to about a 1/2 inch. And then they don't wiggle quite as much. All right. So now with this, I'm going to hold my card up so I can get them both flat on my glass mat. And then I'm going to line up the edges. And then I can push this all down. So instead of trying to lay the trees down and get everything lined up, I like to put it like this so that I'm getting edges aligned first and then everything else should just fall into place. And if it's a little off, that liquid glue should give me a little bit of wiggle room. So how simple and pretty is that? Oh, and I guess I didn't open these yet. So I think I want to use these the Lost Lagoon ones. And I'm just going to use some little ones here. We'll do a couple down here. Maybe a few up here. Because everything's better with bling, right? And I always use odd numbers unless I miscount. But there's our first little card. Super simple, but pretty, don't you think? So let's go to this one now and just play a little bit with our paper. Well, thanks for popping in, Tina. Where are you popping in from? Glad you stopped by. Oh, Winkastel on the trees. That's a great idea. Don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm usually big on Winkastella. Now, if I had to put like a moon on here, then I would probably have the Winkastella just on one side of the trees. So let's just kind of do it kind of on the edges on one side of these trees. That was a great suggestion. I'd probably be looking at it when we're done thinking, oh, I should have put Winkostella on there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's going to give it a nice little glimmer. Nice. And I may even go over and do a second coat on some of these. Just so that there's no doubt that there's shimmer on here. Oh, that is really pretty. Oh, that got a big glob there. I just want a little shimmer on here. So I'm just going to let that big old glob dry. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a big old glob right there. And then we'll add another layer. I don't know if you can see the shimmer or not. It's hard for me to tell from my angle, but there's, I think maybe it picked up a little bit. That looks really pretty. Good suggestion. Who was that, Donna? Good suggestion. All right, now let's try one very similar using the Designer Series paper. So now we need to decide which one. I don't know that I want that one with the trees. So what I'll do is, since I already cut this one out, and I used my other embossing machine, so that has flat plates, so it cut out quite nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and just snip this. And I'm just gonna snip this. Obviously it's wider than a regular card, but we could do this as a landscaped card, and then when we get the whole effect of the trees. And we could also look at, I don't know if this is supposed to probably be, it almost seems like there should be water. Maybe something like that if I put trees there. It'd be like a tornado coming in and cleaning things out. I don't know if I'd want to memorialize that. All right, so here is this one. That can be number 1. Or we have this one, I think looks really pretty. Ooh. That'll be number 2. Maybe like this. Number 3. 1, 2, 3. 2. This one's a lot of dark with the dark trees, so I think we'll save this for another one. And then we have that one might be kind of cool. I think that would be the angle to take it. All right, so 2, 3, or 4. So we have 2, 2 for this one. That one, that's quite stunning. So we can probably take out 1 because that's just kind of plain. We'll take out 1. So here's 3. If we did it on a landscape, it might be, I don't know if that'll work either. So let's narrow it down to 2 or 3 because we've got at least 3 votes for 2. This was number 2 and this one was number 3. They're both quite pretty. And we could put it up higher so we don't have as much dark here too. The 2s have it. All right. Isn't this pretty paper though? So once I start going on things, then I can start getting more ideas. So do we want the berry burst on the top or do we want the dark on top? Because it's going to go into a landscape card, right? Dark on top or berry burst on top? Yes, berry burst. That's the first one I'm seeing. All right. So let's do, let's see. I just need to pull out a card base. So we have something to work on. Oh, and then I needed landscape. All right, well, let's try that again. I guess I scored at 5.5 instead of cutting it at 5.5. And we'll cut it 4.25. I was looking right at the design too. I knew that I needed it landscaped. All right, and then I almost think I might want this all the way up to the edge instead of having a frame. I don't know if we really need that white frame. Unless I were to put a layer of black or berry burst. All right, so if we did a layer of berry burst, just maybe a fin, that's kind of how that would look. Okay. Or with white or flush up to the edges. All right, let's try it with black now. So if we put a nice little, like a 1/16 of an inch. And then we put our trees on here. What do you think with the black border? Just the white border? Because that'll bring out the whites in here, right? Because it makes a difference as to what size I'm going to cut this. So Tina, I'm guessing that's a black border. Okay. And there's a little delay when you might type, it might take just a couple seconds before I see it. So So we've got one for just a white border and one for a black border. Oh, here I could use this. That'll give us a little better peek. Let's cut this down just a little bit and we'll take a better look. So there's just a narrow border with the black. And then this will go here. So we can't look over here because I don't want to trim this down yet in case I need to trim it more generously. And then this will go here. Juju, what do you think? Still white or with the black? With just that little edge of black. Maybe I should cut another one of these out and we do two of them. I wonder if I can get another one out of this. The white does brighten it. Yes, it does. I'm going to cut another one of these out because I can do that on this other scrap. Hang on. I took it over to my other machine where it's got a flat plate. A couple of those don't want to let go yet. I like the dies that actually have the no cut down here because it gives that extra imagery at the bottom. All right, so let's do the white first. So I'm going to cut this down to size. So our card size is 5.5. So I'm just going to go 1/8 inch. So we're going to be 5 3/8. And then instead of 4 1/4, we're going to go down 1/8. So we're going to do 4 1/8. Make sure that that lines up good, and it does. And you know my adhesive of choice when I'm doing these layers is the glue because I really like having that wiggle room. I know a lot of people use hardly any glue, but I kind of like mine to I want to make sure it's going to stay down. And then I try not to push it down hard until I know I have it kind of centered how I want it, because then I can wiggle it around a little bit. I shifted it just a little too far. Now it's kind of set where it wants to be, I think. There we go. There's still a couple pieces here that I need to poke out. Oops, one more. Now you could do this on adhesive sheets too, and I didn't really think about that initially, but adhesive sheets would be helpful as well. So let's put some more glue on here. And I'm going to work on this end because that end doesn't, this is all tacky with glue that's been drying. And I'm not going to worry about the middles of the trees too much as I'm going to worry about like these edges, because that's really where I want it to stick pretty well. Now, if there were bigger spots, I could always put those bigger spots like here. There's a couple here where I could put like mini dimensionals to have it all lifting up. But these tree tips are just so, oh, did I not? I need to cut this down too. Silly, silly me. All right, I'm going to keep this one handy for the black frame one, and I'm going to cut this down to the size that I need. Good thing I have two of them cut. So we're going to go down to 4 1/4, because that'll go, we can actually go down to 4 1/16 or 4 1/8. So let's take part of this off. I might have to cut some of that by hand. No, that worked. And then we're going to go here 4 1/8. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a Post-it note on top of here, because it's got all those little, oh, you probably can't see this. Let me move over a little bit. I'm going to put a Post-it note on top of here because all these little holes catch the blade, and this way it doesn't. So this is extra, but I'm going to hang on to these because that could be used on another area. Now, what did I just do? That's not what I wanted to do. I cut way too much off. All right, let's look at this again. So I need, oh, it's not, I was thinking I was doing a portrait card. So let's do 5 3/8. We'll try this again. This will just be my prototype. I won't give this one to anybody. So I'm going to put those together. All right, we'll try this again. Or I could have just changed it up and done a landscape or a portrait card instead of landscape, but it is what it is. Now I need this piece. We might put our sentiment or something over that. It'll be all right. It's just one of those days. All right, so this is going to go like so. And I'll just put like a sentiment over here. I'll cover that up. And then this I have to trim here because it got caught. All right, so now let's try to glue this now. Some days it's just a struggle. But it'll be fine. All right, so this piece I'm gonna lay down here. Yeah, I don't think from, oops, I got a little glue on the front of here. This is definitely gonna be my prototype. Learn from Lori. Maybe I should have a series like that where I just have all my mistakes and display all my mistakes. Learn from Lori. All right, and I can always use my my little embossing buddy if there's any sticky or tacky parts on here. And I can, once these set a little bit more, I can just rub those off with my little eraser. I'm just running out of places that have not been glued on this silicone mat. And my other one, my other silicone mat is full of glue as well. And my third silicone mat is across the room with some things on it. So, all right. This will line up nicely. Nobody will have to know. And from your vantage point, it's not even going to show. If you didn't watch me cut that wrong, you'd never know. That is pretty. All right, so let's figure out what kind of sentiment we want on there. We're going to do a little embossing buddy here to dry that tacky glue, and then I'm just going to lift some of it off here. That should be fine. There we go. Some of it's just a little slow to lift, but we can put a sentiment over that too. All right, so what kind of sentiment do we want on here? Do we want to do just a white banner piece maybe? Let's pull in the sentiments again. Oh, and I didn't put glue on the bottom of here either. See, that's why it's my prototype. I should have added a little glue here too. I see that it's sticking up a little bit. So if I gave this to another demonstrator, I'm sure that they would notice. If I gave it to my dad, he wouldn't even see it. And my husband might notice because he does watch my videos for me. At least until he can't stay awake anymore. All right, so that's better. Now, I don't know what kind of sentiment we should put on here. Oops. If we did a banner, we could just put "Your strength inspires me." We could put it across the top. Oops, I took these out already. See, really, you can't even, I mean, I have to look to see it, but if I don't really, if I'm just looking straight on it, I don't see that line even. That's fine. Maybe I should just do a little thank you. It is just my little prototype anywhere. Yeah, I think Mr. Lorry long went to bed. And that would be Paul. I know one night when I was first getting my Bluetooth microphone, I was testing it out. He came in the door and he's like pointing at his ears and stuff that there was no sound. So he looks out for me. He has declared himself my roadie. So when I go to like on stage and that, he'll help me, you know, carry my things. And if I have, you know, craft fairs or stuff, he is right there loading stuff for me, and he will do anything to help me out. So I think I'm just going to take this. And should we do black or berry burst for the sentiment, do you think? All right, there's that one. Sometimes I can't decide until I see it. All right, it let me resume it. Am I here? Can you see me? You could probably see my ceiling in my hand. I'll just give it a couple minutes here and see if anybody comes back in. All right, I see a few people starting to come in. So I know what the problem was. It wasn't my internet, it was my phone needed to be plugged in. I was out of battery power, so I plugged in. So I'm back. Woohoo! This is the first time YouTube let me resume where I left off, but I had to plug in. I was out of battery power on my phone. Oh well, you know, you just have to go with it. So here's kind of where I left off. I think that's where I left off. Because I didn't really move anything. So we're getting people back. Yay. Sorry. I thought I would have had enough juice to make it through. But I guess I was proven wrong. All right, so we're going to put just these little borders on here. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do this a couple of different ways. See how it looks. Sometimes I charge my phone partway during the day just so that I have enough battery power in there. I mean, usually it lasts me all day, but it depends on if I've been doing stuff, and I was doing a lot of emails and stuff on my phone earlier. So we could put this here with the berry burst. All right, we got a few people back with us, so I apologize. It happens though. Don't panic. So could you guys hear me when it was looped, or did everything stop? Okay, I'm not seeing any responses yet. So now here is the black with just a little back border of berry burst. Everything stopped. All right, well, that's good to know. So if I swore or something, nobody would know. I didn't this time, but I might have. All right, so there's black with a little berry burst border. Or here's berry burst with the berry burst border. Or we could do black with a full berry burst border. What do you think? So many choices, I know, right? So tomorrow, I'm hoping I can get in here in the morning. I was supposed to teach a CPR class, but there was some mix-up with, well, I don't think they offered the class early enough, so there weren't enough students that needed to register because they all got in another class that's on November 1st that I'm teaching. So the black with the berry border, that one I agree. So do you think the full border or just like the accent border? And I'm going to put that up on dimensionals too, because I think that'll look nice. So accent border or full border. So anyway, tomorrow, since I don't have to teach that class, I'm hoping on getting in here earlier. And my husband has to use my truck tomorrow to run a couple of errands. And I don't like driving his car, quite honestly, because I'm just used to my truck. So since the accent one, I like this one better myself, but I'll go with the flow. So he's going to take my truck. So while he's there, nobody else is going to be in the house because our granddaughter's not with us this weekend. So I'm hoping I will play with some of this and try to figure out like that reflective sunset option that I think will be, the one that I saw was gorgeous. So I'm hoping I can kind of recreate it in my head and get it down on paper. We'll see how that works. All right, so let's put this here. Try to get that centered. Oh, I guess I'm a little far away again since I resumed. How's that? Is that all right? And then we're just going to use, oh, these are cut already. A few little half dimensionals. And I'm just, whoops, I guess right side up would be preferred, right? Hopefully I didn't put this on the card wrong. I should have probably looked at that earlier, huh? I'm trying to get a similar border here as I have here. The name of, hello Judah, is it Jutta or Judah? These dies are, it's going to be a November exclusive, Lights and Wonder dies. So it goes with the Light and Wonder stamp set. So these could be a bundle or you can buy them separately. These dies are awesome for standalone, really. So Light and Wonder dies. The number on these is 165762. If you're not a demonstrator, if you're not on my team, you won't be able to get it until the November release of the online exclusives. And it's not in a catalog, it's just going to be available online. All right. All right, so this is on dimensionals now. And I think we need some Wink Stella on this again. Because we're going to make this look like solar galactic stella. Well, that's a nice little shimmer. You probably can't see that very well, but there's some shimmer there. And then let's use some more of these. And we could use the berry burst ones this time. I'm kind of partial to the smaller ones, but I need to use more of the bigger ones just so that I can use them up, right? Three or five. Uta. So there's no, okay. Uta. Uta. Right? Does that sound right? So when you do UTA, is it Uta? I want to pronounce it right if I can. Utah. That helps. Utah. I will make a mental note and hopefully next time I will get it right. So thanks for joining us. All right, so I've got 3 on here. So there's card number 2. Now, I forgot I still have this little piece hanging around here that I put glue on already. So this is all tacky. It's basically like a sticker. So if you put that multi-purpose liquid glue on there and just let it sit until it's clear, it's basically a repositionable sticker. So if you put it down somewhere and you don't like where it is, you can lift it up. All right, until I put some glue here, because I didn't put glue there because I wasn't sure if we were going to trim it. All right, so let's try one more thing if you're game. I'm going to get, I've got a pink. Let me get some yellows and maybe a couple oranges, and we'll see if we can create like a little sunset look. Does that sound like a plan? Let me get another, got a landscape piece. All right, let me get some more ink. We're just going to do a little bit of playing. Feel like I'm missing, I'm missing that other tree. I don't remember what I did with that. I was going to cut another tree out, but I didn't. And then these pieces here make like mountains. So I will try to play with some of these during the day and then maybe have some better examples tomorrow night. All right, so there's another die somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's another tree die somewhere here. Somewhere in my mess. All right, so let me start with, oh, I forgot to grab a yellow. We'll do a little darker yellow with crushed curry. And then I think what we could do is get a little circle. And we could try to do like a little sunset. So if we put the circle right about here, I could use masking paper or I could just use a circle punched out. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Because that's quick and I think that'll work. All right. So if we put that right about there, I think that'll work. Let me cut down my trees the correct way before I get too far. because we want this to be 5.5 because I want it to go all the way across the page. So I need not quite a 1/4 inch off each side. I think maybe I'll just cut these by hand since I've got the tacky glue on here. And I'm just going to use long scissors rather than my Stampin' Up! Retired snips. So 5.5. I just need to take a little bit off of this edge. And hopefully that'll work. I can trim it a little bit once we have it glued on too. All right, so let's do some ink blending. I know this paper is gorgeous. So Yuta, did you see the paper that we were working with? This Lights of Aurora paper. Oh, I just found the die. The missing die. It was stuck on the back of here. So these papers are gorgeous and they're all two-sided. Different colors. So there's all of those and then the colors on the back. But we did this one without designer series paper and we're going to do this one without designer series paper. So I'm going to start first with the yellow. It is gorgeous paper. So the concept artists used chalks to make the initial artwork and then they photograph it and then create it into paper. So it's pretty cool. That one's gotta be pumpkin pie. Oh, I left the brush behind. All right, so let's try a little bit of, this is crushed curry because it's not a super bright yellow. And if we're doing a sunset, our sunsets here are not super bright. So I think that's pretty close to where we want it to be. And we're just going to start layering a little bit of color on here. Now some people with their blending brush use their thumb to hold that head of that brush down. I like my finger, and in fact I prefer the smaller brushes now. I find I have so much more control over them. But I'm not replacing all the ones that I already have because I had a bunch of those. Hello, Bonnie. Welcome. All right, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of color in here to tone down that white. But I want to be able to see that outline because that's how our sunsets look. All right. So I think that's pretty good. So we are done with the yellow for now. And then we're going to do some peach pie. And I'm going from lighter color to darker color. And we're just going to use a bunch of random sunset-ish colors. We've had some really pretty sunsets by us lately. And I really enjoy ink blending. I'm not sure why. So let's do a little bit of, excuse me, let's do a little bit of pink. I don't know what I did with all my little brushes. I had a Petunia Pop one. I guess I'll have to use the Berry Burst one. Now we're just gonna add some reds. And then maybe some Cajun Craze. That's crushed curry. I could probably get some rich raspberry in here too and make it pretty dark. So let's just put our little trees on here. What do you think of that? Pretty special, don't you think? Let's do some Blackberry Bliss near the top. Because the higher up in the sky we are, the darker we are, and further off on the horizon it's brighter where the sun's setting, right? So that's kind of what I'm shooting for here. Now we could also see about putting some little cloud shapes in here. Some little cloud silhouettes. And see, I have a hard time with daubers. I get such blotchy color with the daubers. I think it's just, you know, obviously personal preference. I just have such a hard time with daubers. I tried using them the other night when we did, I'll show you exactly what I mean. This card I did with daubers around the edge, and I just couldn't. To me, it's so blotchy. And then when I redid it, these, I believe, are, yep. These two use the same color. This was blending brushes. This was daubers. So, you know, it depends on your personal preference and I guess what kind of look you're going for. I like the more blended look, and that's what I get with the brushes. I know a lot of people that don't like the brushes, so you're not alone. And I have a bunch of daubers. I've just never gotten very good at using them. Maybe like fussy cussing. Maybe if I do that more often. And that could be Bonnie, because it's kind of a different vibe, different look. All right, let's get back to our little clouds here. Our little faux clouds. I'm going to flip this over so I have them going in a different direction. And my fingers are getting really messy. That's kind of the beauty if I was to use the masking paper. There we go. All right, so let's put these trees back on here. Isn't that stunning? I think I need to add a little bit more color down here though. And maybe, I could probably put more of the yellow down there, right? And luckily that's like repositionable. So let's put a little bit more of the crushed curry. And we'll just fill in the rest of the bottom of here because that way if there's any other little holes peeking through on those trees, I don't have to worry about it. I love these trees too. And Stampin' Up! Had Grassy Grove, which was another set similar to this, that had like a canopy of trees and then some ground. And then it had a couple of separate deers that you could, I had a couple of separate deer that you could die cut as well. I think this is gorgeous. But I love these trees. And you can, obviously, you can do them in colors other than black. I just like the impact with the black against the other colors. You know, here's the first card we played with. And this was Lost Lagoon, the color that I used. And then this was the Designer Series paper. And then here's ink blending. And we did some ink blending here too. Excuse me. We did some ink blending here too, just to make some clouds in there. Similar to what I just did here. What do you think? A couple of sets that had some like seagulls that we could stamp on there. I wonder if they're still current. It might have been in a paper pumpkin set. Oh, here. Sunrise Sailing. I don't know if this is still current or not. I think it is. But we could probably just put a couple of birds in there too. What do you think? Do you think they'd be too big, or would it look like they're in the forefront maybe? I don't want to ruin the card. What do you think? Birds or no birds? Actually, my husband and I yesterday, we saw 2 eagles. We were coming back from somewhere. Where did we go? Oh, we went out to lunch. That's what happens when you're retired. We went out to lunch, and when we were coming back, and we're kind of in a semi-rural area. No birds at all? Okay. So these are your style, Donna? All right, so 1 no birds, 1 yes birds. You can bet I'm probably going to make more of these. I wonder if there is... All right, let's, instead of stamping them on there, there is a die. Stamp on acetate. That's an awesome idea. And I have acetate here. Where did I put it? Because we did a window card, or a window element. I have too much stuff on my desk right now. But I could also just die cut these, because that's the dies from this set. And I'll just die cut those in black. I'll do that quick. And Yuta, where are you from? Are you from Mississippi with Juju or not? Or Bonnie, are you from Mississippi with Juju? I don't know where a few of you gals are from. All right, so here is, these are a little bit smaller than the stamp. I save the acetate sheets from my stamps, and I make my window cards with them. And I have two of them out here somewhere. They're just buried, and I don't want to go dig out the other ones from across my studio. Oh, here it is. Found them. But now that I die cut these already. Oh, British Columbia, you are further north. Are you a demonstrator or no? Hi, Nicole. Welcome. All right, so don't forget the October join offer. If you're not already a demonstrator, it is an awesome deal, and you really have nothing to lose. Retired, okay. But then be reminded that November we start the new packaging with all the new stamps. They'll all be photopolymer. In December is when we'll get more information about the product of the month. So that's a new thing. Stampin' Up's no longer going to have Celebration in January and February, but they are launching a product of the month. So with the product of the month, I believe the minimum order is $75, and then you get whatever the product of the month is, you can purchase for $5, is my understanding. So it might be like a $20 stamp set. You'll be able to get it for $5. All right, only during January. And then February, they will have a new product of the month. If they have January products of the month left over, my understanding is they will make those available still for purchase if you qualify. So again, I think the threshold in the United States is a $75 order. Yeah, those birds really, I think they kind of make a difference, don't you? I kind of like them. So I'm not going to glue them on right now because I may actually put this on an adhesive sheet and then I'll make them into a sticker instead. Yes, Yuta, all the stamps are going to be photopolymer moving forward. Any new stamps. So any stamps they currently have that are red rubber, we'll still be able to get those in red rubber until they're gone. But they are not purchasing the materials to make red rubber stamps anymore. I don't know if it's, well, but it's not night. I have, these could be bats. Too bad we don't have a bat. I have sparrows that fly around our yard, our area, at dusk. Basically, they're still kind of flying around, but you're right. The other birds aren't around. So that is a good point. All right, guess we do no birds, because that is a good point. And I don't have, the bat that I have is like a big bat from an old Halloween paper pumpkin kit. So, all right, so this I think I'm going to go ahead and press on, except that I need to add some glue to that base, don't I? So we'll just lift this up because it's like our repositional sticker now. And I'll add some glue and then we'll trim off the edges. I'm just going to add glue to the bottom because I didn't cover that entirely because I wasn't sure if we were going to have to cut it down. You make a very good point about the birds. So you convinced me. You definitely convinced me. All right. So let's put this back on. Yeah, the birds don't start flocking in my yard until until sun is up. All right, and then here we're just going to take my snips, and we're just going to, normally I snip from the back, but for some reason I have a harder time when I'm on the fold trying to get them to snip where I want. It might be my left-handedness, I don't know. You're a bird nerd. That's a rhyme, bird nerd. Sorry, struck me as funny. We have a nice variety of birds in our yard, but I have to pull out our reference book. Well, Yuta, thanks for stopping in. I'm glad you had some inspiration. I'm glad you joined in. I appreciate that. I think the more the merrier when we're having little conversations and bantering around ideas. This is a last card anyway. Last card for me for tonight because I need to head to bed also. All right, so we will make this one a thank you card as well. And I kind of like the little accent piece too rather than a full border. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit. And glue this together. And then put it up on dimensionals. We'll put a few little baubles on there, and then we're going to call it a day. Some of you ladies have more stamina than me. I don't know if some are going by Pam, the ginger cat lady. Is that what hers is called? I think. Or is it Ginger Pam, the cat lady? All right. So I think I kind of like it there. But I'm not going to press it down hard yet. We'll see if it's still repositionable when I get up. I might move it. We'll see. But at this point, I only use Stampin' Up! Products, yeah. So if there's something that Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry, then I will do other things. Like if I do, like I did some Christmas door hangers. So our Buck and a Dollar store had some balsa wood door hanger things. And I used Mod Podge on those. And I put Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up! On those. But typically I just use Stampin' Up! Stuff. For one, I like it that all the colors coordinate. Like with these papers. Let me find the wrapper. With all of these papers, every color that's in there, or at least almost every color, sometimes there's just too many colors, but all of the colors are in here. And then I know if I have, like this piece, I know there's going to be Azure Afternoon in there. So I can pull out my Azure Afternoon ink and know that I'm going to match. I think that's probably not the right color. But like here, we've got some Berry Burst in there. We've got some Pool Party probably, or yeah, Pool Party is in this one. So they're all color coordinated. So I don't have to really think about, oh, is this going to go together? Stampin' Up! Also gives us color coaches. So it'll give me a set of a few ink colors that coordinate well with, you know, the color that I'm looking at. People on my team, I offer this as a freebie print that I do on adhesive sheets. I just use Avery office supply sheets, but we also have like a color coach that tells us color things. So I just know all the stuff with Stampin' Up! Is all going to coordinate. I order it online. It comes right to my door. I don't have to go to all the stores. I don't have to go to 3, 4, 5 different places to get the things that I want, to have all the things. I can get it all from Stampin' Up! And I don't have to go anywhere. And I get a nice discount because I'm a demonstrator, obviously. And I've been doing it since 2017. So my discount is a little bit higher than somebody who just joins, because you can earn different discount levels. So yeah, all my stuff is from Stampin' Up! Primarily. So just my weird stuff is not. But if Stampin' Up! Sells it, that's who I'm using. I use only Stampin' Up! Cardstock. Stampin' Up! Has a two-tone cardstock. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Those are 12 by 12s. And those are new within this last year. Probably January, I think, is when they released all the colors, earlier this year. But they all coordinate, so I'm kind of spoiled that way, I guess. So, all right. Any other questions? Good questions. Good suggestions, too, with and without the birds and the colors and such. So I appreciate everybody hanging in there, too, with our little technical snafu. So I don't know if it was YouTube or if it was me. So for what you do you do junk journaling, did you say, Bonnie? So I can see where it would be kind of expensive for what you do. I agree. So you have to do what's right for you. I don't do junk journaling, at least not yet. I don't know if that's something that I'll get into later. Now that I've been exposed to a little bit more, it does hold some intrigue for me. But again, I don't know that that's something that I will always do. You know, where the cards and that. The cards are pretty stable for me, and then, 3D items, and, like we did these ornaments, I don't know, a week and a half or so ago. This is just all out of Stampin' Up! Cardstock and paper. So I like the quality, and I like that all the colors match. When you're doing the junk journaling, you can coordinate so many different things, so I can understand why other papers would be, a better choice for you. Oh, so you do make cards too. I just noticed that when I was kind of reading some of these other comments here. So with my cards, usually like with the white, I will use thick basic white to do my card bases. But then for, the ink blending, if I'm not using it as a base, I'll use the regular. All right, Nicole, you get some sleep. Have a nice nap so you can spend the wee hours online with Canada for a scrapbook class. Good for you. Thanks for coming in, Nicole. I'm glad to share. It's fun. So I appreciate that. And I'm going to call it a night. It's almost 2 a.m. here in Wisconsin. So I've actually been on about 2 hours. The time goes so fast. A lot of times I think I'll have, like, oh, I'm only going to have about 15 minutes worth of stuff. And here we are. That's a lot of cards, Bonnie. Do you sell them? I take it when you're making that many, you must sell them. If you go to my Lori's Little Bit of Craftin for my Facebook page, if you see a card that's similar to something that you're making or that you were inspired by, feel free to put a picture of what you're making in the comments. You donate them. That is awesome. That's awesome. So on my Facebook page, personal account posts rather than business accounts, because obviously as a demonstrator, I don't want other business accounts trying to get more runs off of there, but go ahead and post stuff. That's great. I think I'm out of things to say. I made the couple of announcements a couple of times. These are the cards we did today. I think they're gorgeous. Gorgeous. And all similar but different techniques. So colored cardstock with a little ink blending, designer series paper, and then all ink blending. And I have about a dozen stamp sets and stuff to put away. So thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. I will be back probably in about 22 hours or so. and I'll catch you next time. So until we meet again, happy crafting.